Hi, this is Burr Stewart, and welcome to my model railroading channel. Today I'm going to give you a demonstration of how I built a prairie dog town based on an article that Greg Condon wrote in the latest issue of the Narrow Gauge and Short Line Gazette, which you see here. And he did a very cute little 3-page article showing how he purchased some 3D prints from a company in Canada called Miniprints and installed them on his layout with little mounds of dirt. And I happen to have all the materials needed right on hand, as you see here. Some dirt, some Elmer's glue, and some wetted water. And right above my dispatcher's panel, as you see there, is this beautiful scene that was built by Paul Scholes, and I always wondered what would be a fun thing to have right in the front of it that wouldn't detract too much from the beautiful trestle and everything. So I jumped right on this article's idea. I purchased the groundhogs from Miniprints, which were the closest thing you could find to a prairie dog in HO scale, and set to work. I put the camera so that you could watch what I did, and I'm going to speed it up because we don't want to sit here for 45 minutes when I can show it to you much more quickly than that. The first step here, obviously, is to wet the ground with a little wetted water, which is just water with a drop of detergent added. And then to put some mounds of Elmer's glue, and I was using it diluted 1-to-1 with water. And when I started to pour it out of my container, I thought, no, I need to be more precise about this. I can't just use that huge nozzle. So I put a little of the glue in a cup, took an eyedropper so I'd have a little bit more accuracy. And I started the really hard work of deciding where my 6 little prairie dogs were going to be located in this scene. Now, a prairie dog town is usually some prairie dogs that they locate far enough away from each other that they don't crowd each other out. So once I had the little drops of Elmer's glue in there, I started putting dirt on the drops. All of this is following Greg Condon's excellent instructions in the article in the Narrow Gauge and Short Line Gazette. So I put these little mounds of dirt on there, and then I realized that he called for putting on straight Elmer's glue, whereas I was using diluted Elmer's glue, which was a big mistake. So then I went back to put on more Elmer's glue, but the dirt wasn't wetted. So my whole process was just one mistake after another, although I did end up, in the end with a good result. But I just want you to understand, this channel is reality model railroading. It's not precision or perfection model railroading in any way. I'm just showing you what I do, whether it's good or not. So in this case, see, I came back, missed some spots. I came back, put on more glue because I was kind of nervous that nothing was going to end up stuck. And I didn't want the dirt to just be blowing around the layout. I wanted it to be glued down in these little mounds that the prairie dogs make. Ironically, I noticed a mole hole out underneath my garbage can the next day after I did this. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, the most fun part of this whole project is taking a barbecue skewer and making a hole in the center of the mound. I don't know. I don't think I made it quite deep enough. See, I'm delicately just sort of tapping in the hole. I wasn't really thinking about how hard it would be later to put the prairie dog in. I actually think I should have waited to let this whole thing dry before I put the prairie dogs in, but I didn't. I was very impatient to get this job done. And so I sprayed more wetted water on it after I made the holes, which of course caused the dirt to flow into the holes, making it very difficult for me to see where I had actually made the holes. So I took some push pins and stuck them where the holes were to make sure I wouldn't lose track of what I was doing. Now, if I had just followed Greg's instructions more carefully, half of this work wouldn't have been necessary. There we go. Do we have any more? I think that's it. It's 5 prairie dog holes, and then I decided to make another one off on the side that wasn't in a gopher hole. So now I'm cutting these prairie dogs off of the 3D printed base. And I had painted them with a little bit of brown, light brown acrylic craft paint just so that they wouldn't look blue, which makes sense. You could really attempt a fine paint job on a HO scale prairie dog, but you'd never see it anyway, so I just dashed some brown paint on it and called it good. And then, as you can see, I used my finger to try to put it in there, but it wouldn't stick upright. Keep an eye on this prairie dog. Whoa! There it went. Well, I wasn't there to see that, but when I got back, I was pretty disgusted. But see, you can see, you can see here, I hadn't noticed it yet. You know, I'm more straightening out the other one. And now I noticed the prairie dog fell over. So I thought, you know, my fingers really weren't doing the job. I better get tweezers and do it right. But even these things are so small, even tweezers aren't good enough. You know, I don't know if did we really sign up for this when we started doing model railroading as a hobby? I don't know. Look at this. I just can't get this prairie dog. I can't get it in the hole. Oh, too much. I can't even keep light on the subject. I'm shading my own. There we go. Good. Leave it. Leave it. Just leave it. Don't touch it again. So, anyway. Oh dear. So, I will really speed it up now because, you know, you don't want to sit here and watch me do this 4 more times. Now, see, there's the prairie dog that I put out on the outside. And I decided to just put glue, Elmer's glue, on the bottom, where the tail. I didn't cut his tail off. The rest of them, I had to cut the tails off. But this guy, I thought, I want to show off that the prairie dog has a tail on it that was nicely 3D printed. And yeah, I still had to fuss around with that too. But if you look really carefully at this front prairie dog, he's looking at you out in the aisle, and he has a little tail, which I don't know, makes me happy. I think I'm probably the only one on the planet that will ever know that that prairie dog has a tail. Yeah. See, there I am cutting off a tail. Oh, that hurt. I cut the tail off that one because I'm about to stick it into another hole. Hopefully I can do it a little more quickly. See, I got the idea that I should put glue on the bottom, and that way it would be a little more sticky when it went in the hole. The hardest part was just finding the hole because I didn't let the mound of glue and dirt dry. See, that went really well. Did you ever think you would be watching a video about gluing prairie dogs to a model railroad scene? I certainly didn't. I give full credit to Greg Condon for having the idea, writing the article, Bob Brown for publishing it in the Narrow Gauge and Shortline Gazette, and me for reading the article and bringing it to you on the YouTube channel. I guess it all comes full circle. This whole project only took about an hour and 15 minutes from start to finish. There we go. How about that? We now have a little prairie dog town. And I'm happy about this because Paul Scholes, who died at least 10 years ago, was a master scenery builder. And he wrote a book on building realistic scenery, and he used this module. He constructed this module as part of the book. And I asked him, what he was going to do with it. He said he was going to get rid of it, so I asked him to get rid of it in my basement, which he did. So here we are. You can read that label if you want, learn a little bit more about the book. And with that, I hope you've enjoyed this. There are plenty of other videos on my channel, some of which are instructional and some which are just silly. So for now, this is Burr Stewart wishing you much fun with trains, prairie dogs, gophers, badgers, whatever you want to call them, groundhogs, you name it. And never forget that none of us would even be here if it hadn't been for the rodents that survived the great extinction when the dinosaurs ruled the earth. So we're very indebted to them. Bye now.